Subaru and Subaru, the second sequel to Initial D, has now been running in Young Magazine for almost a full year and has collected over 30 chapters with no sign of stopping anytime soon. In all of those chapters we have been introduced to a lot of cool cars, so today I'd like to go over these cars. Let's start off with the first car we see, the car of our main protagonist, Subaru Sato. Sato drives a 2024 Subaru BRZ STI Sport. It is one of the only cars in the manga of which we know a canonical color. It is WR Blue Pearl. Initially the car is almost completely stock besides a bucket seat and a 4-point harness on the driver's side. When Sato signed up for the MFG Freshman series, she got the MFG spec tires and the MFGF number F88 on the side of her car. F88 was chosen by Yukihira, an ex-Red Suns member and the boot representative of Senna Moriboshi during last year's MFG Super season. Moriboshi's number, 885, can be read in Japanese as Hayai, which translates to fast. Similarly, 88 can be read as Haya, which would translate to real fast. Later, seemingly to magically appear out of nowhere mid-race, the car gains an STI front underspoiler, side underspoiler and rear underspoiler. A likely explanation for this is that Soichi Shikeno, the manga author for Subaru and Subaru, switched what car he used to trace Sato's BRZ. This can also be linked to the fact that in some manga panels the BRZ and STI badges on the trunk of the car seem to magically disappear, to then reappear in the next panel. The car has an F824D naturally aspirated engine that makes about 237 horsepower. Next I would like to talk about a very similar car, Subaru Kudo's Toyota GR86SZ. This car is Sparkeret, almost mimicking Kanata Katagiri's 86 GT. Both cars also have the same mechanic with Ogata. The car uses the MFGF number F87, after wanting to use the F86 number but not being able to use that because it was already in use by somebody else. In terms of modifications, it's the exact same as Sato's car before the STI parts, with a bucket seat and a 4-point harness on the driver's side. Both cars also share the same engine, but unlike with the BRZ, we don't know the exact power output of Kudo's GR86. Before I move on to the rest of the MFG Freshman cars, I would first like to talk about cars from some returning Initial D characters. Bunta Fujiwara makes his return in the series and still drives a Subaru WRX. Takumi's father replaced his 1998 Impreza WRX with a 2015 WRX in WR Blue Pearl. The tofu shop owner claimed that he got the car because of its all-wheel drive system, which he really needs in a snowy area like Gunma. Presuming it still has the stock EG207 engine, it would make about 304 horsepower. This car wasn't actually introduced in Subaru and Subaru, it was first shown on an original illustration made by Soichi Shigeno to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Initial D manga. Along with Bunta, we also see the leader of the Akira Speedstars again, Koichiro Iketani. He switched his lime green two-tone Silvia S13 out for a 2024 Nissan Fairlady Z version ST. The Fairlady Z is equipped with a twin-turbocharged VR30 DTTT engine, of which we don't know the exact power output, but a stock model could produce up to 400 horsepower. The version ST is a performance version of the car. Knowing that Iketani has a manual transmission, this means it comes with a synchro rev matching system. In addition to that, it also has a sportier suspension setup and larger brake rotors. Subaru and Subaru features one more returning character from Initial D, that being Iketani's long-lost love, Mako Sato. Mako is Subaru Sato's aunt and the one who taught her how to race. Sadly, she doesn't drive a sports car herself anymore. Impact Blue's SIL 80 has been switched out for an Aston Martin DBX. Not much is known about this car since it is only visible in a total of 4 manga panels, but a stock version with a twin-turbocharged Mercedes AMG V8 could produce up to 542 horsepower. Moving on to the MFG Freshman competitors, I think I'm just going to go over these in alphabetical order. So first off we have Akira Seto's Audi TT Mark III. This car is entirely stock besides the decal of his MFGF number F16. The Audi TT came with many different possible engines, so giving a power output is hard, but the lowest it could go was about 200 horsepower. What we do know about this Red TT is that it has an all-wheel drive configuration, instead of the front-wheel drive setup that the older trims had. Sato himself is one of the oldest drivers in the Freshman series, with being at the age limit of 25 years old. Next up we have Lin Zhiming's BMW M2, racing with number F6. This is an interesting one because the stock M2 with the N55 turbocharged engine would make 365 horsepower. This is higher than the 300 PS limit that Ryosuke Takahashi applied to the Freshman series. So to deal with this, Zhiming has installed an intake limiter which lowers the power output of his M55. Now we have what might very well be my favorite car in the series so far, Yujiro Sekiya's Honda S2000. This car is equipped with a whole bunch of spoon parts. It has an S-tie hood, front bumper, rear bumper and fenders. Also on the car is a black carbon fiber Spoon Sport GT3D wing. Underneath this black S2000 a Spoon Sports N1 exhaust can be found, but the cream of the crop here must be that absolutely beautiful looking Spoon Coupe hardtop. Sekiya has also changed his wheels out with NKPF01 rims. On his door you can find a spoon decal and his MFG freshman number, F20. This number is a reference to the engine in his S2K, the naturally aspirated VTEC powered F20C, which could make about 250 horsepower in its stock form. This is an interesting detail though, only the AP1 comes with this engine, and we know he has this engine because it is stated by him in chapter 18. But the car has the headlights that can only be found on the facelifted AP2 chassis codes, so presumably he has changed out the headlights at some point in the past 2 decades since this car has rolled out of the factory. Following up on that we have Mazda. In Subaru and Subaru we have 2 of those at the moment, Rikuto Akaba's Mazda RX-8 and Scott Coulthard's Mazda Roadster. Akaba's Mazda RX-8 is a Zenki pre-facelift model which we can reduce by the headlights. Considering it's parts of Mazda's RX line of cars, you probably already know that it has a rotary engine. This car has a naturally aspirated 13B MSP. To create this car, Shuichi Shigeno used the real-life RE Amemiya Street 8 RX-8 demo car. Just like every other car that has appeared in Shigeno's works, he takes pictures of a real car and traces over it, adding modifications where and if necessary. Since the car is based on a real RE Amemiya demo car, you could have probably guessed that it has almost every single RE Amemiya body part in existence. I would list every single part to artificially increase the runtime of this video, but I would also like to get this done with before the Subaru and Subaru manga ends. So here is the parts list from the wiki. I do want to mention those NK NT03RR rims, they fit this car so well. And the RX-8 is a funky looking car, so finding good wheels for it can be pretty damn hard. During the 2026 Tokyo Auto Salon, the real-life demo car featured the F8 race number that Rikuto uses. The number F8 was chosen by Akabe as a reference to the model of his car.
Initial D. Initial D.
Scott Coulthard's Mazda Roadster is an ND MX-5 Miata 12R. We know that the car is painted in Aero Grey Metallic because that is the only color the 12R came in. Additionally, the 12R features a reworked 2-liter naturally aspirated engine that now delivers 197 horsepower in its stock form. Scott has also chosen to race with F12 on his door as a reference to the 12R, of which only 200 units were ever produced. Moving on to Mitsubishi, we have Ichiro Gondo's Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. Gondo has an Evo 9 GSR. It is equipped with a 4G63T, a turbocharged engine. The car's exact output is again unknown, but the stock model could produce up to 280 PS. This Land Evo has a C-West N1 front bumper and side skirts. The car also has an upgraded brake kit and an aftermarket steering wheel. In addition to that, it also has a bucket seat and a 4-point harness like every other MFG freshman racer. The F9 decal on his door is a reference to his generation of Evo. Next up we have a pretty familiar sounding name, Hoshino. Mitsuhiro Hoshino is the son of Kozo Hoshino, aka Godfoot. Mitsuhiro drives a Nissan Fairlady Z or Z34. It has number 34 on its door. But this is not in reference to the chassis code of his Z. Instead, it is in reference to the Nissan Skyline R34, which his father owned. Mitsuhiro drove this car down many mountains before joining the Freshman series. In contrast to that heavily modified BNR34, his RZ34 has practically nothing done to it. At least in terms of body modifications, because the twin turbocharged VR30DD-TT that can be found in the latest Fairlady Z model usually makes about 400 horsepower, which would far exceed the limit of the Freshman series. So the engine is very likely detuned. Enough with the Japanese cars for now, let's go back to Germany with Momo Sakura's Porsche Cayman. This is a 718 Cayman Style Edition, in white with a black stripe down the middle. On the side, to no one's surprise, the number F718 can be found. You get the gist by now on where these numbers are taken from. Initially, Momo wanted number 12 in reference to Michael Beckenburner, who she respects a ton. Michael also drove a Cayman, which was the reason for Momo's car of choice. But sadly, 12 was already taken by Scott Coulthard, so Sakura had to settle with 718. In the middle of this cool beauty's car, a turbocharged MA 2.20 engine that can produce up to 300 horsepower can be found. Now we have a car that will hopefully get an interesting rivalry with Gondo's Lancer Evo, Shinjiro Kai's Subaru Impreza. This is a 4th gen Impreza, also known as the Hawkeye. It's a WRX STI Spec C, meaning that it comes with an EG207, a turbocharged engine that would make about 320 horsepower in its stock form. But again, this is very likely detuned to fit the regulations. Besides an Apex Eye and one Evolution R muffler, the car is completely stock. While choosing a racing number for the car, Kai faced an interesting problem. The car doesn't have a number in its name or chassis code like every other car so far. Thus, Shinjiro went with number 555. This is a reference to the Subaru Impreza rally cars that were sponsored by State Express 555 from 1993 until 2004. The car doesn't have a canonical color yet, but god I hope it is blue with the numbers in yellow one way or another. And now, last but not least, Kota Ishikawa's Toyota 86. Shigeno just could not let go of the 86. The car is a Koki Toyota 86 with chassis code ZN6. It is painted in satin white pearl. The car is based on the TRD RE Revolution 86 demo car, so it has a bunch of RE Revolution parts on it. Besides those, it also has a supercharger installed on its 4U GSE engine. It is also the only car in the series so far to have a unique livery, which looks dope. Kota is also the only driver with a racing number that we do not have an explanation for yet. And with that, we are through the full grid of cars that raced during the first round of the MFG Freshman series. I love that these cars are so much more Initial D-like because of the horsepower limit. This makes for cheaper cars that the average local working class enthusiast could own. But anyway, thank you so much for watching until the end.